Hello, listeners. This is Jeremy Bierma, the most successful Dutchman in the history of grassroots football in Australia, winning more than 10 trophies. Ex-Glebe Gorillas in Sydney for 5 years, ex-director of football of the Glebe Gorillas and now London Claremont Gorilla, probably known by our dedicated fans by the name of Big Jazza or Mr. Smooth. You're listening to Who Wants to Be a Gorilla on Air. Do me a favor and give these guys a subscribe and a like.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Who Wants to Be a Gorilla on Air with me, your host Roop Dog. I'm joined once again by my co-host Naz. How you getting on?
Yeah, all good. Finally got on the pitch yesterday. My knee's hanging off.
Fantastic. Jimmy?
All good, yeah. Ready for another episode?
For his podcast debut, Tucky.
How are we, chaps?
How you feeling, mate? Nervous?
No pressure.
You look a bit nervous.
Yeah, no pressure.
Don't fumble.
I'm nervous.
Yeah,
I'm nervous.
he sank about 5 beers before. That's fine.
me and Naz have been down the rocks beforehand just to chill out a little bit before.
And our special guest for today, first team manager, Dec. How you getting on?
Good, mate. Obviously, still a bit gutted from last night, but I'm glad to be here. What a spot.
Well, we'll get it. Yeah, well, just before we kick things off, last week we were in Naz's house, had a nice little set. But this week, we are in the Fergus Inn in Tucky's, basically Joseph Fritzl style basement. Yeah. This is where he's been. This is where he hides all the bodies.
Don't listen to the screams.
Tucky, your basement. Talk us through it. What have we got? Talk us through the background. We've got some shirts on the wall. We've got a lot of Everton and United shirts. So if you don't support Everton or United, you're in trouble.
I'm Rangers.
And Rangers. As well.
Boo.
No Ireland shirts yet, unfortunately.
We are the people.
Yeah, so the Ferguson got founded last year through COVID. Obviously had a big garage space, so we thought it started with just a dartboard, and then just because we were stuck in lockdown, we were just like, it just kept getting worse and worse, just kept buying everything out of Marketplace. And
what do you mean worse? It's better?
Well, you know what I mean. I just meant the spending got worse. We just kept adding to it.
Shh, don't tell Kate. Joint account.
And yeah, look, just during COVID, obviously it was an absolute godsend because we could have people around, we could have a few sessions down here, and it wasn't too loud. So yeah, it's
Quality. And hopefully this will be our long-term venue. Just for everyone back at home, we're actually in a garage, so if we hear a bit of car noise, look, what can we do? This is all part of it. Dec's his first pod debut straight off the back of an FFA Cup, mate. How you feeling? It was a big night last night. Good to have you on. Initial thoughts
on the game?
Yeah, just on the game.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll get into it later on, but yeah.
Oh, definitely. I'm proud of everybody. Honestly, like after the game, it showed the way Spartans celebrated the win, how much it meant, and how much it took for them to overcome such a great club team. You know what I mean? It obviously meant a lot to them. And it meant a lot to us, and we were so unlucky. It goes to pens, it's anybody's game. Tucky thankfully has been on the better side of our and Naz as well, actually. When we won the penalty shootout for reserves, but yeah, penalty shootouts are
just quickly on that.
Yeah.
Out of interest, if I was on the bench, would you have done a Tim Krul? Would you have done a Louis Van Gaal and brought me on for Reece just for the penalty shootout?
No. Reece, mate, get up. Or sorry, warm up. You're coming off. Tucky's number one shirt on.
I've got previous, mate.
Yeah, we saw four penalties in the reserve grand final a couple of years ago. You can't look past that, can you?
I wouldn't have liked to deal with Reece after that, though. To be fair.
Yeah, his house is bashed up tonight. TV's off the wall, a whack.
What's the dog called?
Oh yeah, what's the dog?
Ralphie.
You touched on it last week where Reece, the nicest guy. I don't know why Naz said you bring him home to your parents because he can't get fit through the door, but you bring him to the garden. You bring him to the front door and then get your parents to wave out the window at him. But yeah, he's a really nice guy and on the pitch. But I like that about him. It shows his his character when he's on the pitch. It means a lot.
Imagine playing backyard cricket with him with the family and that. And he just starts punching people when he's coming to meet the family. Just relax. Someone gets him out, he's swinging the bat around.
What about on Saturday where he's shouting, I'm going to write an email. I'm going to write an email.
How do I complain about these refs? Dick, how do I complain about these refs?
I think he's genuinely doing anger management though. So I saw it was quite funny watching on the sideline on Saturday, because obviously that penalty he got given, which 100% wasn't a penalty by the way, and Reece just wanted to explode, and he just walked behind the goal about like 12 yards behind and was just like, deep breaths.
Reece, listen, if you're listening, Reece lad, which I hope you are, if you want to chat, mate, anytime, brother, just phone's
I'm
always
going to get him
open.
on the ball, the yoga yin.
Yeah,
It's
man,
calm, you know. I'm trying to get
A
all
lot
the
of
boys. I'm trying to get all the boys in training gradually onto the yoga stretching.
Namaste.
A couple of boys are as stiff as an ironing board, but
Yeah,
we'll get
the
there.
stiffest blokes.
I've never, honestly, Peter
ever seen.
Mooney, worst accent, the worst, honestly, is like, trying to, I don't even know, man. Looking at him, minimal effort at all times. He's worse than Robbo. If anybody doesn't know who Robbo is,
They'll know.
you're
They'll know soon.
lucky you.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're gonna get more into the games. We're gonna get more into FFA Cup. But what we'll do first of all, to kick us off, Tucky, your first pods. Tucky, I'll chuck to you. How did you get involved with the Gorillas, and how have you found the last few years with the club?
Bit of a random one, really. So I was actually playing for Locomotive when I first come to Sydney.
What?
Do you not know that?
Hello.
Loco in the Prems and Resis, or like
I was playing Resi.
Over 35s.
Talk about stiff anyway, yeah. And I literally just got to Sydney, and I was living with a Chilean guy called Romano. I don't know if anyone, did you meet him before?
Yeah, he's now completely ripped to shreds.
Yeah. I was living with him, and then he was like, he's like, man, you should join this Glebe team, man. Sorry, that's a really bad accent.
Where's he from?
Yeah,
Ukraine.
Bangladesh.
Manchester.
He's like, all they do is drink, but they're good. And I was like, yeah, well, that sounds pretty decent.
Sold,
Let's get myself down there. So went down to training with Millsy and Gav O'Shea. And literally, quite funny, the first thing I saw when I got to training was seeing Archie and Reece just on their own. And just so for people that listen, Archie and Reece had just both got ADHD, haven't they? They're just so mental. And they were just the first two people I saw, and they were just sat there doing backflips. I was like, what on earth is this club? They were both like practicing and like applauding each other when they were landing backflips. But it was when I first came, it was very like jumpers for goalposts. So we were like training on a field with
Wentworth Park.
yeah, with bibs and the balls were going into bushes
Potholes, the
and
whack.
yeah. And I think Jono was quite excited because the keeper they had previously was apparently not great. So they managed to upgrade a
Excited that you
tiny
turned
bit.
up?
Yeah, a tiny
No,
bit.
what about Adrian?
We won't go into that. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, look, great club. Been here for about 6 years or so. Some might say the most decorated goalkeeper in Glebe's history. I'm sat here actually in front of a load of trophies, and 4 of them I've won out of 6. So sorry about that.
Well, actually, one of them is an individual player of the year for the
Yeah, that's
first
mine.
team.
Third team.
Yeah.
By the way. Third team top scorer.
And
Tuck
Tucky,
is claiming.
obviously, apart from your playing responsibilities, you're now commercial director of the club, and
Big role.
Ed Woodward.
He's the Ed Woodward of the club in
him
every
out.
single way.
Everyone
you
hates
imagine.
him.
Get him out.
Tucky out. But we're sat here drinking the Rocks Brewery. We are proudly sponsored by the Rocks. Tucky, give us a word on our sponsors here, the Rocks.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've sponsored us this season. We've had a few other sponsors in the past that have been decent, but you know, they've come in, supported the lads, obviously given us crates tonight, and they funded quite a bit of money into the club in a season that was just coming out the back of COVID. Yeah. Obviously, myself and Naz reached out to so many pubs, and even though there's a massive upside potential with the amount of people that go back there and drink, they just weren't interested in giving money, whereas obviously, Roop, you were involved in this as well. We went and met him, and literally within 20 minutes of meeting him, he was like, take the money, you get 20 lads back.
It's a huge risk for them, man, to fork out cash to like in thin air. It's a massive risk for them. So fair play to the Rocks.
Right,
for
at the end of the day, he
supporting
trusted
and-
us.
Yeah.
And when you meet the owner, though, you can just tell how
legend.
enthusiastic he is, and just like, boys, bring your birds.
He's a proper
get that,
fucking Aussie bloke.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if anyone hasn't been to the Rocks in Alexandria as well, like, get yourself down to the Rocks, because not just the fact that we are sponsored by them, like, it's a place where you want to drink, like, the vibe, the bar, everything about it is
The beers.
unreal, you know?
Just to
The beers are
clarify, it's called the Rocks Brewing Company because I told a couple of boys to come down to the Rocks, and they went to the Rocks.
Piedmont.
Yeah. And they were like, "Oh, Dak, we're here. Where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just at the bar." He's like, "Yeah, we're in the Mercantile." I went, "Well, no, you have a good time, boys."
We're not sponsored by the whole area. The government's not sponsored us.
Well,
That's the next step.
Well, I just want to say, yeah, again, as I mentioned last week, we are a grassroots football club, completely run by the players and amateur. So without these sponsorships, we would struggle. So yeah, again, massive thanks to them. So Dec, first pod. Yeah, I think you've been manager for this is your third season now. I think it.
So it started off in 2018 with the reserve team. Or actually 2000. Well, yeah,
It was 2017.
And you,
wasn't it? No, it was 2018.
2018
and
reserve.
you were playing before that as well,
Playing
obviously.
before that, though, yeah.
Oh well, I'll go through like
Trying.
So yeah, well, that's you emphasize the word trying, capitals. No, so I'll go through like how I got involved with the club and that. So me and the missus obviously coming to Australia, Sydney, literally didn't know anybody really. Marianne had a few friends, but I posted on Facebook, next stop Sydney, and Mr. Simon Cowell, Dermy McMillan texted me saying, "Oh mate, I'm living in Sydney, come meet up for a beer." So I was like, yeah, no problem. So
there's your first mistake.
yeah, that's
It's a slippery slope.
it's just been downhill from there. So downhill for me, uphill for Dermy's teeth. But but yeah, so Dermy's like, oh, because me and Dermy played in the same team back home. So I was like, yeah, fuck, sound. And then he introduced me to the boys. It's a funny story actually. So when you first come here as a backpacker, yeah, obviously looking for jobs. I'm a plumber, but I was getting into like labouring, and so this random guy emailed me called Jonathan Cooper, saying, "Oh, you're looking for labour work, whatever." So yeah. So got me a job on the Monday. This is on the Saturday. Me, Dermy went to the beach, met up with these random people at a house in Bondi Junction. As soon as I walked in, I saw this guy, 6'6", biggest head I've ever seen in my life. First thing he said to me was, "Oh, you looking work?" I was like, "Oh, this guy Jonathan Cooper got me work. Don't worry." And he said, "No, that's me." And I'm like, "What? How the fuck? How it was random, you know." And then you just meet him. But anyway, so that was how I got involved with the Glebe Grills, and then first ever pre-season game, which I actually wasn't supposed to play. Me and Marianne were actually supposed to go to Hunter Valley, and we were let down at the last minute for a rental car. So I headed on down to watch the reserve team against Loco, and Kieran Murphy, the old president, reserve team manager, asked me that someone got injured, I think.
El Prez
asked me, what a guy by the way, asked me to come on for the reserves and play. Like this was in the first 35 minutes of the first half. So I came on, scored my first touch, no joke, left foot, chipped the keeper by accident. And then,
but you told everyone it was purpose though.
Oh, of course, it looked
Bruce on Saturday.
It looked so perfect, but obviously it was just completely wrong. But so anyway, so we recentered the ball got booted up long. I was like basically me and the keeper 1-on-1. I'm thinking in my head, right, I'll just put this past the keeper, go in and score. But yet obviously that didn't happen, and I ended up having 2 knee surgeries. So
Was that in your first game for Glebe?
first pre-season game ever.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was first
I
game.
remember the second time that you'd done your knee as well. It was on the line.
Oh, was that
The ball on the line? That was.
So yeah, I was so unlucky with the first time. You know, first game ever for only in Australia for 3 months, and little did I know that it was gonna end up basically a lifelong injury as such. You know,
Some might say karma.
You horrible man. Horrible.
That was just not nice.
Keep that in there. 100% keep that in there.
I could tell. I could look at him and I could tell he had something to say.
He's
and
brewing
was-
something, wasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Nah, we get it. But yeah, so I was just very unlucky, and this is all going to lead to how I became the manager involved, So obviously then I was out because I had the full knee reconstruction, which is ACL, MCL, LCL, PCL, meniscus.
Jesus.
So basically,
EDL.
BNP.
So, full disclaimer on that note. Jack Walker is coming on soon.
Yeah,
Oh,
look, I
what
just want to say and retract.
Yeah.
Jack Walker is a good friend of mine, a lovely bloke. I love him to bits. He is 100% the furthest thing away from EDL that you can get. However, when you look at him, you think he is in the EDL. That's like facts.
White
it's just facts.
skinhead,
Do you know what I mean?
tattoos.
Skinhead, bright blue England top, skinny
Yeah.
shorts, Air Maxes.
Does
I mean, come
MMA.
on. However,
Jurassic Park
he's one
sleeve.
of, however,
reeks
he's
of it,
one of the
doesn't he?
nicest blokes you'll ever meet. I want to retract that statement from last week. I don't want to get sued. Anyway, Deck, you were saying.
Yeah, so obviously done probably one of the worst knee injuries, whatever. Was out for like 16 months. Came back, played 3 games for the first team. And George Arnold was our goalkeeper at the time. We were winning 5-1 at half time. Pretty cushy against Marubra, which are
I remember
our
that.
opponents this weekend. Winning 5-1 pretty comfortably. Second half, George, I'm sorry, but he just decided he was going to floppy hands, second half he had a nightmare. I don't know why, but so they crossed the ball in. I was playing left back. I scored in that game as well, so it's just a coincidence.
2 games,
Went
2
to-
goals at this point.
Exactly, yeah. I'm a goal machine. Joined top
David
goal
Nugent
scorer
record.
reserves last year. But anyway, so I went to clear the ball with my left foot, and George came out to sort of get on the ball, and as he done that, he snapped my left LCL and ACL.
So on the other knee.
Yeah, it was
George
the other
did
knee.
that?
Yeah, George.
And we ended up
It was-
drawing
he's
the
kept
game.
that
We
fire.
drew the
He's
game
kept that
5-5.
fire.
And we drew
I
the
didn't know
game
that.
5-5 as well.
Yeah.
5-1 up.
He's an horrible,
It was
That's
just a. It
he's
was
an
just
horrible
a-
bastard when he comes out, isn't he?
I like that in a goalkeeper, but it was just the wrong place, wrong time again. 2
Wrong
goalkeepers.
team.
So 2 goalkeepers done both knees. Both games I scored in, and both games we drew. So I'm not saying that's
I was
a
I was
coincidence.
literally just about to say. I can imagine Deck in hospital. Done his knee again, devastated. But all he cares about is the fact that they've gone from was it 5-1 to 5-0.
Millsy got sent off.
Yeah, that's all he-
Bruv, I fucking skank you, bruv.
Skank.
Millsy's catchphrase.
He's resident pilot.
Yeah, what? Oh, mate, that's the maddest picture I've ever seen. Surely it has to be Photoshop of Millsy at the helm of a commercial airline.
Well, his head's out the window, so I assume it's photoshopped. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Tucky, maybe you want to give a bit. Millsy, ex-midfield general, one of your good mates, isn't he? He's gone back home to pursue a new career.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone needs a flight anywhere, David Mills, Basingstoke, search him.
Mills' flights, like Mills Airline.
His flight higher.
Isn't his mum? His mum works for British Air. or
she's
something?
BA, yeah, she's flight attendant, yeah.
Yes, Millsy.
So it's keeping
Friends
it in
in
the family.
places.
What's his dad?
Yeah, maybe busy
A
over the
gardener?
Euros, like.
Yeah, his dad's like sells lawnmowers or something like that. Yeah. That's actually a really funny story. Quickly, I know it's completely random, but his dad owns a company called MoMate, and
Nice.
No
nice
mates.
name. Lovely
MoMates. Yeah,
name.
so he basically just a reseller of like lawnmowers, trimmers, whatever. And he called his firstborn daughter Lorna.
No.
Oh no!
So his dad,
Shut up.
his dad's the
purpose, a
dad
lot.
from
Bit of banter.
Matilda,
Lorna
selling
Mower.
all shady parts for lawnmowers. The way Matilda's dad sold all dodgy parts for
And he
cars.
called his daughter Lorna.
I mean, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it? It really doesn't.
I mean, I like it. I do. Like, clearly,
He's just got a passion for lawns.
good on him.
Yeah, fair.
That's where she was conceived.
What's the what do you reckon? What do you reckon? Like bringing it back to Glebe as well. What do you reckon? Like from when you started playing, because both of you probably been around longer than us three. I reckon. Like you've been there.
I think we
probably-
started the same season.
No,
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure.
you were there like a year after. I think that me and you joined, or maybe even 2 years, but at least 1 year after us. Like what? Can
You mean before?
Before, sorry, yeah, you joined
Yeah.
like the year before us two, us three, sorry, and like, what's the can you see like a big difference in the quality, or like what's the difference that you can see like
It's chalk
in
and
terms of
cheese.
like
I'll let
how
Tucky
you're looking
answer
at the
that
clubs?
Oh, it's complete chalk and cheese. And at the end of the day, like when I signed on, Glebe were a good club. They're a good side, good players, but you know the organisation wasn't there.
Then you signed.
Yeah, then it all went downhill when I
Downhill.
signed. Yeah, but yeah, look, in the last 6 years or so, it massively has grown into what I would say a professional club. You know, large sponsors, quality players. You know, this season has been absolutely ridiculous. Some of the lads that have come down. Obviously, we've had 4 or 5 lads come down from MPL 2, MPL 3, and that's obviously had a knock-on effect with the Resis as well, where there's lads that were absolute shoo-ins for the first team for the last 3 or 4 seasons that are playing Resis now. Obviously, unfortunately, that hasn't paid dividends on the pitch yet, but you know, it's a new team. Hopefully, that will click soon.
Yeah. So just based on touching on what Tucky said, like I remember when after doing the first knee, when don't want to name any names of who the managers were at the time, but I remember we were training at Wentworth Park. There was 12 people there, and the reserve team manager at the time was set up a drill, and then went on YouTube and realised that we were doing it wrong, so he stopped the drill.
Which manager was that?
That silence said everything.
Say it.
By the way.
Well, he's no longer here anymore,
Cut
but
it out, I promise.
Tommy or some, what's his Tommy? Big.
Big Tommy. Yeah, I mean,
Cockney Tom.
Fucking Tom.
rumor has it, right? Rumor has it though that you took.
I don't want
over-
to diss anybody,
you-
by the way.
Deck, you took over his team and won obviously the double title.
Well, let me.
Rumor has it that he
touch
was
on
the
that.
man who put the foundations down. In
It's
actual
not rumour. We both played
Nah,
in
well,
that team.
that's-
Lads.
We both know what happened. In
Let's
that.
put some perspective on that.
Put
Thomas
some-
Tuchel in it.
Put some
Yeah.
respect on my name. That's what's coming.
Respect with
Put
a
some
K.
respect on my name.
No, so again, it was another thing we were going to touch on, but we went off it. After the second knee surgery, the reserves were doing really well. They were top of the league. They were 6 games in. It's still early days. First team were, they weren't doing very well at all. I think we won 1 game in the first 6. And it just wasn't working out, and the committee made a decision to basically move the manager on as such.
Fire him.
Yeah, but
He got fired.
he got
And it was Phil Prenter who did it.
fuck
Phil
yeah.
Prenter, the worst,
Wow,
the
this
most
horrible guy,
cutthroat
yeah.
football director
Horrible
in the
guy.
Nicest
whole
guy of all
He's an
time.
accountant. He's got to keep
Nicest
the
guy
books.
of all time, but he will Donald Trump you.
He's
You're
like
fired.
he's like a honey badger. Do you know what I mean? He looks all cute, and he's like an accountant and a nice guy, but he's he's
Yeah,
absolutely
you
ruthless.
give him 1 inch. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's got a budget to work
So
with.
basically, the manager got the sack, and the reserve team manager decided that he would leave because they were friends. So I was injured. Jono took over the first team. I took over the reserve team. 6 games in the league. Only lost 1 league game, and then lost the semi-final of the grand final, but we still managed to get into the grand final, which is weird, I know, but yeah. So I think we went on obviously the rest 16 games unbeaten, went to the final. We already won the league 1-0. Paddy Millington buck penalty against Ramwick, final game of the season. 1-0 champions, and then got to the final. We were losing.
Just quickly, can we touch on the scenes from, was it Phoenix?
Oh, let's get to that.
Because I think we should touch on that because for the listeners here, it was absolutely it's gone route.
Well, I just want to say, as a neutral, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we've all seen a lot of
As a neutral, but I play for Glebe Gorillas.
as a neutral, but I play for Greek. Obviously, I was watching the game that day, and look, we've all seen a lot of good games. You've seen professional games. This game, and I'm not just saying it, is the best game I've ever seen live.
Is this the final? The
This
final?
is yeah,
Oh,
it was the
mate,
grand. It was the
what
grand
a-
final of the reserves game. It ended up 5-5. So 5-5 after extra time. There were red cards. There was, I think, Tommy Estelle got a hat trick. There was some good goals.
40-yard free kick from Paddy Millington.
Last minute.
And my favourite stat is that Glebe Gorillas did not lead the game at all until the final kick of the final pen.
Yeah, and also that year, this is crazy. The reserves never dropped a point. Any game the Podge started. That's an honest
conspiracy.
Should have seen him yesterday. Come
Fake
on,
news,
yesterday.
fake news.
We'll get to it, but he was class when
Did
he
he
come on
play?
yesterday.
Mate, yeah, he rolled back the ears
He rolled
last
back the
night,
ears,
yeah.
Podgy. He come on, he was class.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, yoga and Pilates go far. You know, Podge is 97 right now, and
He's an alien.
But to give everyone some background as well, like
He's a clone.
when we talk about like ESFA, when we talk about teams, like ESFA stands for Eastern Suburbs Football Association. It's the league that we're in. It's probably I would say one of the best leagues in at least all of Sydney. Amateur level, if not all of Australia, to be honest, because of the fact that I think there's obviously a lot of expats, overseas people live in Sydney, and that's why that's the league that we're in. There's obviously a lot of leagues kicking about. There's all 10, 12 different divisions and whatnot, but when we talk about the podcast, I know there's obviously people listening who probably don't even watch our games or know who we are, but it stands for Eastern Suburbs Football Association, and big shout out to them because they put together a wonderful league with a lot of cracking teams. We take the piss out of all the teams, like for instance Phoenix being like an all-Irish team, and Coogee, who we always take the piss out of, and you know, Waverley and all sorts of teams in there. But in the reality of it is that we won't be competitive and we won't put as much effort in unless ESFA and the other teams in the league are as serious as what we try to be. So big shout out to ESFA, big shout out to the other teams as well, you know.
Yeah, and I just want to say, you know, to other teams as well, as much as we joke, we laugh and we hate them, which we do at the time, but it'd be great to get them on as well if anyone wants to come on and chat, because as much as this is about us, we're not, you know, a club is nothing without your competition, and a lot of teams in our league are similar to us. They're all backpackers, expats, things like that. So
yeah,
perhaps in future we'll get onto that. So lads, this is our second podcast. So far, so good. I can't believe we've even sat here doing it, to be fair. But the first podcast went out last week. We had a bit of feedback. A few people listening back at home. Jimmy, you've had a bit of feedback. What were people back at home saying? Family, friends,
or anyone else?
or anyone?
Class. They're loving the Robbie the ref story. Loving that. Is it Robbie? It is Robbie, isn't it?
Yeah.
I listened to what? Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I listened to the whole thing preparing for our game on Saturday. So unless I missed something out about the Robbie the ref story.
Oh no, just talk about Robbie with his, you know, when Robbie puts his
when he goes for the red card,
and like, you know, he's not going to show you it, but in the middle of the game you shit your pants because he's got his hand.
And his missus has the Rabbitohs jersey on the sideline.
What's the feedback be like for you, Jimbo?
So we started the little Instagram account, haven't we? Obviously,
class, man.
people are on. It's gone global.
And what's that called, Jimmy?
Cheers, man.
Gorillas on Air. Gorillas on Air.
So
follow.
I told a couple of boys about the name, right? And their immediate reaction is, that is fucking smart.
Fantastic.
But, you know,
whoever made that up?
He's a genius.
See, to be honest, when you debated about which name it should be last week, as soon as I heard who wants to be a gorilla on air, I was like, you fucking smart motherfucker.
Well, it was a light bulb moment. We all thought that is unbelievable.
But also add into that as well, if anyone has anything they want to chat about, any requests, any questions, any thoughts, gorillas.on.air@gmail.com. That's our email address. It sounds very professional, like we've got a big setup and that, but to be honest,
.ie/pornhub.com.
They're the next sponsors. They've been on. That's for the next episode.
for sure, be appearing on there. But
we've obviously had a lot of feedback. It's gone global, hasn't it? Obviously, we've had podcast downloads in South America already.
We've gone global.
Obviously, we've gone global.
In Jordan
But
as
obviously,
well.
a few people have been on to me wanting to start up merchandise selling. Jasper Enterprises tried video calling me today about setting up some
They're
hoodies.
massive as well.
Jasper Enterprises.
Jasper's
They're on the
big.
stock market.
shout out to
Big.
Jasper Enterprises. Where's he based?
God knows, mate. God knows. I don't know. But Zapor Sports, they're on to us as well.
Zapor
massive.
Sports.
They're massive.
Stafford.
They're so big in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Stafford International.
I've heard.
Now
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
big. They're
Yeah,
big.
yeah.
They're obviously international. So I mean,
Yeah, we'll be coming for
revenue
our
streams from everywhere.
we'll be coming for our money there. By the way, for mentioning all them massive brands, we'll be expecting
Jasper,
some
you got a
freebies.
shout
This
out.
is not
so.
an ad.
Yeah.
So out of interest of the people that have downloaded, have we managed to utilise the Chinese market yet?
No, we'll get there. We'll get
No.
Byron on. We'll get the, we'll get it going. So he's Japanish, isn't he?
Japanish. Japanish.
Hongkonese. That's true though. That's a real thing.
Yes, yeah,
People from Hong Kong
We're
are
getting,
Hongkonese.
we're
Yeah.
getting pulled
Proper
straight
Brits.
off iTunes.
Brits.
You won a
If this-
Japanish World Cup rugby.
If this
Where's
part
that
of the
shirt from, by the way?
podcast, oh, it's from
Best
yeah,
stag
Dex.
of all the times.
If this part of the podcast stays in, I'd be heavily surprised. But if it is,
No, it's gotta-
amazing.
it's gotta-
This is going to be our intro
It's
this
got to
week.
stay. It's got to
Yeah,
stay.
amazing.
No edits. We're live.
Yeah,
And that's-
real talk.
Naz, what about you? Any feedback from your first pod? What were people saying about the way just how you performed? I heard some good reports. People are enjoying it.
Yeah, listen, thing is, it's been difficult making my way around the city because what are you
People
laughing
keep
at?
throwing the stuff at you.
Mate, people
Deck knows
are-
about
Yeah,
that.
how-
Coogee boys attacked him from
Yeah.
Tea Gardens Hotel.
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to ask me about my nicknames, introduce myself, but we'll get
We'll
there
get
at
into
the
that.
end.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
get
get
round
into
to
that.
that.
But
We'll get round to
it's been real difficult handling the fame because, like, I mean, I didn't ask
You're
for
a
this.
small man. You don't
Mate,
have much
I
to
didn't
give
ask for
around.
this. To be honest, I don't like to go out too much, but like when I am out, I'm talking caps, sunglasses, the whack. Do you know what I mean?
In the
Like,
BWS or the Dan Murphys
Mate, it's
or
so
the
tough, man.
Bunnings.
I know how these
It's
like.
it's that orange Porsche you've just got from the money from the first episode.
Yeah, well, I've been spending big time thinking the money's coming in, but it's tough. It's a tough life, and I know how these professional footballers feel. And like people, we are just human beings like you as well. Like we are just human beings.
Yeah,
like
we're
you
not
as
just
well.
pieces of flesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if you want an autograph, that's fine. You want a picture, that's fine. But don't grab my shirt and stuff like that. You know, like I'm just
Don't touch me.
shopping. I'm just doing a bit of shopping myself. Like,
I'm just
whatever.
trying to get a block
You
of
know?
cheese. Will you
Yeah,
just leave
man.
me alone?
Nah, but it's been good. Obviously, loads of people back home listening. Loads of people here that we know listening, and we're just a few lads, just a few pals trying to have a bit of crack, you know,
Chewing
and
the
like
fat.
really enjoying it. And done one episode. It's only one episode, but it's been real good fun. So hopefully we can continue and we can make it a more regular thing.
Only
But
way is
yeah,
up
hope
from
everyone's enjoying it. Yeah,
Now we've got a full setup. Down
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
This is the perfect
Pictures
man
of the
cave
setup are on the
slash
Instagram, by the way, if anyone wants to see.
podcast room.
And we'll post a photo of the Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah. Oh, mate, how good? Did
'Cause
you
it's
get those-
special.
Did you get those personally made or?
What, the beer mats?
Yeah.
Oh no, well yeah, I think my housemate got them sorted.
Yeah, how good though?
Where did the name come from?
I think he made it up. Did you?
It's genius, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He just took the on off Alex Ferguson's name.
exactly. It's smart.
Alex
Like you said
Ferguson.
before, very smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very
Thought
smart.
outside the box. I like it. It's
I
typical.
don't do well outside the box.
Typical. Oh yeah, I know. Tucky comes outside the box.
do
All
well
hell
inside the
breaks
box.
loose. Tucky gives a foul outside the box. Penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've not talked a lot about Tucky as a keeper. So Tucky, for those listening, has been a stalwart in goal for a number of years. This year playing reserves because he's shit. No,
What an intro.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm glad he said it and no one else had to.
I mean, you're bigging up your FFA Cup game, but you wouldn't have been there without
let
me.
me-
So
if
do
we
you know
get
what I
there,
mean?
if we get there, I want
Yeah.
to speak about it. Okay.
So I got really defensive at it. didn't I?
No.
Yeah, he was straight on the defensive. Yeah.
Real Tucky's coming out.
See the
He's had
way-
a few beers.
Look that he was giving there.
Everyone
Oh
out.
my
Go
God.
Nas
out.
tried to sink it last week about your. He's like, Dad,
Mate, I know.
what do you
I
have to
heard
say?
it.
And I give you nothing but praise.
Mate, I was listening to it with Kate, and I was just in absolute shock. Obviously, Naz has set me up for an absolute slinging from Deck, and out of nowhere, Deck's given me praise, calling me a top goalkeeper. Probably for the first time in 6 years of knowing him, he's done it live for everyone else to hear. So
Yeah,
I'm
when it's on
very happy.
record,
And we're
you should have
live.
heard when it stopped recording what he was
Yeah,
saying.
but that's
Jesus
fine though.
wept.
That's fine as long as he's doing it when it's live. That's fine with me.
He said something about lasagna and hands. That's what he said.
Yeah,
No
I mean,
one-
I guess that's some of the nicknames I've got that I can probably touch on is
Can we go over a couple?
Weetabix wrist, lasagna hands, chocolate wrist, chocolate knee. Anything to do with me dropping a ball or being injured or something.
Couldn't catch coronavirus.
Couldn't catch COVID. I was just about to say, couldn't catch COVID. Deck regularly says.
Yeah, something along those lines. Do you know what I mean?
The only man alive that couldn't catch COVID.
He's even going with the times. Yeah,
he adapts. To be fair,
he adapts to.
He's
adapts
current.
to it.
You know, he's current.
yeah.
I keep up with current affairs on Channel 9.
Straight up, because that's what you do, Dick. Innit?
Breaking
Real
news:
smart lad like that.
Tucky couldn't catch coronavirus.
What I wanted to come back to, Jack, was a bit more about your. We touched upon you as a manager. I think the first thing, and the commentator at the game last night mentioned this, was that we won the State Cup in 2017, and obviously talking about Gorilla's history, you've given us a bit of background about that. But that competition and that win was a big part of the club's history, and obviously you took the team that year. Give us a little bit about what it was like winning that trophy and what it was like for you to run that team.
So, obviously, another reoccurring theme, I was injured. So Jono was the first team manager. And because I was injured and I was always coming down to training, Jono was like, right, we'll just get you on the side of like management, coaching. He's like, I'll allow you to... You know, it was really hard because we were playing Saturday in the league in ESFA, then playing a FFA Cup on a Sunday, which was just absolutely crazy. The fact that any association or anybody would allow you to play 2 games consecutively in 2 days. But we managed to do it, and we had a really thin squad. It was like really, like we had 15 players of both, same 15 for 2 games in 2 days. It was really rough. Like, it really was hard because after you get a win on a Saturday, boys going out and get pissed up, going to the game on a Sunday with like not that no real expectations, but like hungover and, you know, not playing to the best of your ability. But we played some really good teams, and it just showed the quality we had at the time that came through. But Jono gave me responsibility. Jono was like, listen, he'll look after the league. Dak, you can pick the team and take charge of the sideline, because Jono was obviously playing at the time. So, you know, I was like, yeah, sweet. So State Cup, Gav O'Shea was the captain at the time. So yeah, it was a good time to be involved in the club. But yeah, we semi-final against Lillipilly, who are unbelievable, have an unbelievable setup, great club. Have like
100 teams
150 teams.
Yeah,
They've
massive,
got, you know, 150 teams.
Imagine playing for the 150th team.
We had
open age 150th.
Where are they based? In where are they based?
in Lillipilly.
Where's Lillipilly?
Nearly south.
It's in Sydney.
It's south Sydney.
Yeah.
Southwest.
Have we made this up and I just don't know?
Lillipilly.
Lillipilly's based in South Sydney. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, so right.
So Jono was like, right, blah blah. You can take control of the sideline. So it was my first ever, you know, introduction to, without being on the bench, actually like having some control over what's happening on the pitch.
The first team, anyway.
First team, yeah. But again, this is before I took over reserves. So, so we got to the final. Again, this is another touchy subject for Tucky, but I think it was like 30 seconds into
I was
the
hoping
game.
we weren't going to talk about this.
We were always going to talk about
This is perfect.
So
That's why he's mentioned it, man.
yeah.
This is like
it was
the
nothing
lowest.
to do with Dak. It was always to do with Tuck.
Exactly.
So basically, set the scene. 30 seconds.
30 seconds
into the biggest game
into
of the
the
club's
biggest,
history.
like,
the biggest game of the club's history.
State Cup. So if anybody doesn't realise what the State Cup means, so New South Wales is a state, okay? Just for anybody,
Not a country. All those geography
outside
fans.
of Australia,
anybody
yeah.
outside of Australia. So New South Wales is probably bigger than the whole of the UK, like in land
In terms
mass.
of size, yeah.
Yeah, and so teams from all over play each other. You get to the final if you're lucky enough, like we were. So yeah, it was the biggest amateur cup competition that you can win or be involved in. So we got to the final. 30 seconds into the game, we played Northbridge, which is Rupert's old team. Thankfully, they released them. Joke. So 30
I wasn't playing in that game. I was in another team. But anyway.
Yeah, he was in the reserves.
Yeah, I was in the reserve.
So the ball, they play a long ball, and Tucky comes out to try to collect the ball, and something goes drastically wrong, and Rupert drops a bottle.
I've just done
Just
a Tucky.
like-
I've done a Tucky live on
It's quite an ironic segue.
It was
It's quite an
so
ironic
ironic.
segue, that is.
Yeah.
Yansky there, yeah.
So Tucky comes up to pick the ball up, drops it, lands it at the opposition striker's feet. He puts it 1-0 down after 30 seconds. Tucky lies on the floor and has to be stretchered off in a neck brace. 4 ambulance and a helicopter has to come to get him off the pitch.
That's the most overselling of a mistake I've ever seen, by the way. Is it a complete
Mate,
joke? Like,
it
his
was,
neck is
I
not hurt
can't,
at
mate, it
all.
wasn't
His
even my
is
neck.
not
It was
hurt at all.
it was my
This is
knee.
pride.
His neck, his knee, his back, everything. He's like, get me off this pitch so I don't have to
One
deal with
ambulance
this
for
right now."
each.
And am I right in saying that Jez Bierma, who did the intro to this pod, then went in goal for the rest of the
Yeah,
game? Is
that's
that
true.
right?
Yeah.
He had a
So
screamer as well.
He was Jezza was actually on the bench.
Fantasar.
Jezza, never been in goal ever, and absolute fair dues to him for stepping up and say, "Listen, I will go into goal." That was a really
Gold-
Was it good? Was it?
Gold member.
Yeah, gold member.
Too bad for
Ball.
you.
So he was like, "Yeah, listen, Dick, I will go. Happy birthday! I will go in the goal."
decent.
So Jezza, if you're listening, I know you are. Thank you.
He will.
He made a couple of great saves in that final. But anyway, so just before half time, the ball dropped to Dermy probably about 5 yards into their half. He hit it on the half volley and went top corner. I know he didn't mean it, but he says to this day he meant that. Honestly, Steven Gerrard wouldn't even try and shoot from that fucking distance. But anyway, it went in.
And before we go any further, I feel like I need to tell my side of that story.
You have
You missed
tried
your
to catch a
chance.
ball.
Because
yeah,
I'm,
no.
I'm
And we
not,
move on.
I'm
We'll
not
cut-
having,
we'll cut this out. We'll cut
I'm
this
not
out.
having,
Swiftly.
I'm not
And
having
now for a
this,
break.
I'm not having this absolute slander without defending
Well,
myself.
go on then.
So,
30 seconds in, you've sent off.
Yeah, you got
What?
your chance, bro.
Just give me, 30 seconds. Lily
One,
Pilly, your first
two.
game deck.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Lily Pilly, his first game, man of the match. Wouldn't have been there without me to start off with. Save after save. We
But we
were
don't wanna
terrible.
talk about your
we
man
were,
of
we
the
were
match
terrible.
performance.
We were
grafting
terrible.
it. Go on.
Because you're
Anyway,
here.
Gav O'Shea, I always remember this. Gav O'Shea, the team talk before the game deck, absolutely unbelievable. Like I've never.
The half-time team talk. you
No,
mean?
the pre-match team talk.
Is this in the final?
This in the final,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
It's in the final. The pre-match team talk. I was close to crying, and he was literally saying stuff like, "We'll be 60,
Do his
60
accent.
years
Do his
old."
accent.
Hello there, I'm Gav O'Shea. I'm going down to Jarvis Bay. No,
With Genie.
Ice in the mind and fire in the heart.
Genie.
Hello, darling.
and he did this ridiculous speech about like when we're 60 years old, we'll look back, we'll have these medals, how we're all together. And I was ready to run through walls for the man, like basically. And I was in good
And you lost
format.
for 30 seconds.
Yeah, I
well
was,
done.
I was in good format.
Well, you did run through a wall. If the striker's a wall, then
Yeah,
you ran
and
through
this
it.
ball's come over, and I had no right to go for it. To be completely frank, it was right on the edge of the box, and I've just gone keepers, caught it, and then Craig Spalding's just crashed into me.
Sure.
Knees gone, and but he can sit there.
Deck's
and shake his
reactions
head.
here.
He can sit
Something.
there and shake his head, but is what it is. Heartbreak, fucking meniscus done, and then literally out for the season. But then the funny thing about Jez is that
Out
everyone
for the season. That was literally the last game of the season.
No, we had
Nah,
no, it
it's a
wasn't.
joke,
We had
that's
we
a
had about
joke,
5
yeah.
or 6. I think we had 6 games
And
after.
then Barney Robinson went in goal.
No,
but-
Jezza went in goal. Jezza went in goal
not
the
not
following
in
game.
the final, but in the league. But that's another.
Well, yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast. Talk about Barney Robinson.
Well, I just we touched on Gav O'Shea, but for those listening, Gav O'Shea, look, I will give him some credit. I'm not currently the team captain, but it's fair to say that
stole it.
I stole it from him. Stole it from him. But different captains operate in different ways, and I think, especially at this level, in any level actually, there's some people who are inspirational, who say the right words, and especially at amateur level, can get you up for a game. So Deck, how would you? So Gav O'Shea's team talk. How would you describe him for those who don't understand, who haven't heard the magnificence of these team talks?
No, it's crazy because like all the managers that I've played under back home, you know, they're like very similar to Gav, but like Gav just, it's crazy because you would think that Gav has a script and he's reading of a script, but it's crazy the things that he thinks of and just rolls off the tongue. And the ball, and I seen it in the State Cup final half time and before the game. It's absolutely like things that you'd never even think of that would ever come to your head. Like, it's just you're sitting there like mesmerized about where the hell is this guy pulling this shit from?
He should be like a sergeant in the army or something.
What's that film?
Imagine going into
Motivational.
battle and just hearing.
What's that
Gavo
film
Shays.
called where he does like a really halftime team talk?
Braveheart.
No.
Remember the Titans?
Never End Sunday?
Al Pacino. Remember the Sunday?
Never Ending
Mike
Sunday?
Bassett, England manager.
Any given Sunday.
Any given
We'll play
Sunday.
Any given
4-4,
Sunday.
Yeah, yeah.
You'll fight for that inch. And you look around, you know Al Pacino. Come
Yeah,
on,
Al
mate.
Pacino.
Oh yeah,
Sunday,
this is Sparta.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, but Gav
actually
obviously
did that
he's one of my best friends here, and as much as I love to give him shit, but he's one of the best captains I've ever played under, and not
The
because
best captain that
Loose
Glebe's ever
man.
had. Some might say.
who says that?
Tuck.
but one thing to add to that is not just about everything that we're saying, but I think it goes back to the whole conversation about being grassroots, like playing for Glebe, right? Like once you get into the club, and he doesn't play anymore, right? Like he's obviously
Old.
retired, probably his hips about to fall off.
He's in bits.
Yeah, he's in
bits,
pieces.
yeah,
Like when
in bits.
he's playing golf at the minute, I'm surprised his hip doesn't go when he swings his golf club. But like he's unbelievable captain, unbelievable man. Obviously, as much as we joke, but he's so still involved in the club,
That's
despite
crazy.
the fact that he's not.
Oh yeah,
actually playing,
he's still
you know?
following and
So
still a big part of it.
it's like
so
it goes back to the
itching.
conversation about like once you're in Glebe, you don't leave
Well,
Glebe. You know?
again,
Like,
and I saw, I think we were playing last night, and he was commenting and stuff, and also
Yeah.
we saw a lot of ex-players back at home, and if you're listening to this back in the UK, cheers for the support again. It's massive, but this is the reason why we've got this club, why we're doing this podcast, because we want to keep the connections with players who have played for us. It's a huge part of coming to Australia, and it makes a huge difference. So
You
so,
guys,
yeah.
you guys touched on the Forster tournament last week, and it's quite a funny segue for Gav is the fact he hasn't played for years, and he wasn't due to play in the Forster tournament, and he was a bit of a last-minute addition. He's a little bit nervous about it. Obviously, he's been injured, hasn't played for a while. His career's been re-ended with a red card in a knockout game. Got sent off after like 2 minutes. We crashed out.
Abusing the ref.
That's
that's Gav O'Shea.
And that's the end of the career of Gav. What a man.
And just to finish on the State Cup final, there's one player actually I want us to talk about. This is a player who's been around the club for a long time and he deserves recognition. This season he's not played so much because he's got other commitments. He's had a kid, but Gaz Burns, for those listening, is an absolute club legend. I'd say probably one of the best amateur footballers I've
Easy.
seen
Yeah,
in terms of
100%.
ability.
Easily.
Jimmy, give us a bit on Gaz Burns and just
my first training session, he absolutely rinsed me. Like, you go
But
into...
does everybody not do
I
that
know,
every training
well,
session?
I know, but I didn't know that at first.
You didn't know you get rinsed every training session by everybody?
You go into your first training session, don't you? And you go flying
to
in.
impress.
You're trying to impress, and you're giving that extra 10%. You're flying in, and I go into fly into
Big mistake.
Gaz Burns. You just do not do that. I know that now. You've just got to stand him up. I don't know if you can stand him up, but you go in. I've dived in, and he's got this step over that's
Drops the
legendary.
shoulder.
I don't know where he went, but I didn't see him for the rest of the training session. I
Can't
think he
really-
went
you can't-
home.
You can't describe it without seeing
it's
it.
the
really.
eighth wonder of the world. Yeah, I mean,
Fucking sick, innit?
and some people might call Gaz Burns the Irish Messi, but do you know what we call Messi the Argentinian Gaz Burns, because his ability is just second to
And
none.
I think this will be, I think, a feature we'll do every week, right, where we'll pick a player and we'll chat. And I think it goes without saying that the first player we had to bring up was
Honour.
Well, it had to be Gaz, but like player profile every week we'll do a feature, but first week had to be Gaz Burns, you know, because like to his biggest detriment, he's his own worst enemy, right? Because he keeps such a high standard, because he plays so well every single week. When he has a stormer, everyone just cracks on as if
they
it's like
bypass it, don't
it's
they?
like whatever.
Yeah.
He never gets man of the match because it's like Oh,
typical
that's just
Gaz,
Gaz,
It's just
isn't it?
expected,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's like expected. If he has a whopper game, everyone's like, yeah, fine, we'll give it to someone else who doesn't play as well every week or whatever, or someone has a good game. But with him, the standard's so high. Like, it makes me think, like, if he's like this now at this age, I would love
What's
to
he going
have
to be
played
like
with
at
him.
50?
But no, but I would have loved to have played with him like back in the day when he like when everyone's a bit younger and everyone's a bit more mobile and a bit agile.
definitely,
Like it would have been something
So,
stupid.
so I guess on that basis, Brucey's not getting a segment then.
Brucey's not even getting on the
Bless
mentioned
Brucey.
on the show. I'm surprised you've mentioned.
What you saying
it, to
about
be honest.
Gaz there? So Gaz was playing. I didn't even know who Gaz was at the time, but so Donegal Celtic back in Belfast were in the Irish Premier League, and Gaz was playing for them. Young, like physical, fit league, like pretty. I'd say probably around, maybe slightly higher than MPL 1.
Really, that's a good standard.
Yeah, it's but like when you play football in Belfast, like this is why, like, and Gaz is probably one of the exceptions where back home it's so physical, like it's crazy how physical it is, and obviously Gaz, he's probably the one getting booted every week, but the Irish Premier League, really good standard. Gaz was playing for the first team and I was playing for reserves, and I didn't even know who he was because and I only realised that whenever me and Gaz had a chat, and he was like, "Yeah, I was playing for the first team there," and I was like, "What?"
He's so down to earth and humble. You wouldn't even,
Nah.
he's one of those characters, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy because obviously I'm 4 or 5 years younger than Gaz, so obviously we were more or less an under 18 team, and he was in the first team, and I didn't even know that he was playing for them. It was crazy because you knew who all the players were because of how they came into the bar after the game, and I don't think I ever
he's
saw Gaz.
He's a quiet guy, isn't he?
Yeah,
Till he has a bit.
but I'll get him on the Kraken and Cokes. Then now we're done talking. You know what I mean?
Hercules.
Hercules.
But I think,
what a
I think,
player,
I
man.
think we had to start with Gaz Burns for this player profile feature, right? Because like in terms of like doing a player profile and running around all the players that I've played for previously and currently, like
For me as well,
Jeez.
like in the time I've been at Glebe, there's one game that stands out for Gaz Burns, and it's State Cup final. Obviously, we touched on that before. And sorry, Luxton. But
why did they give Luxton man of the match?
Gaz Burns got absolutely robbed because the guy was just literally everywhere. He's just pulling strings, running past people. Like the whole game went through Gaz Burns. Obviously, Luxton scored the winner.
because Robbo got sent off, and Robbo was playing a number 10 role, and Gaz and Luxton both had to play centre midfield 2v3 for basically 30 minutes at the end of the game, like in the extra time.
I think the biggest thing with him as well is that like doesn't matter 10 years ago or now, everything's played at his pace, right? Like he's one of them players where like there'll be 4 people around you, and you'll be getting closed down, but it looks as if you've got all the time in the world, even though it's not the case at all, and everything goes at his pace.
3 players around him, it comes down, takes a sick touch.
Yeah.
And
He
it's
just
everyone's
ends
like,
people's career.
And he does that one step over, like you said, where that same step over, but everyone sees it coming, and you can't do anything about it.
do anything.
But everything's at his pace. Like the whole game is at his pace. It doesn't matter who you are, how good you are at defending, whatever you do, everything is at his pace. That's how it works.
He's an absolutely phenomenal player, and I think that's it for part 1. In part 2, we're going to be discussing the FFA Cup. We're going to be talking about the reserves. And now it's time for my personal favourite part of the show. It's Jimmy's halftime poem.
This poem is called Ben.
Like the Michael Jackson song.
What a tune, by the way.
Alright, just give us a sec. Ben. Trust the process, he said, before he lost his head. Fuck off, ref, he said. Sorry, he pled. I said it to myself instead. On the Thrapo, he said. Jim laughed. Just the 2 beers tonight, he said. Yeah, right, we said. 2 a.m. he crawled into bed, holding his head. The end.
Oh, fantastic. Quality.
That literally couldn't have summed Ben up any better. That's unbelievable.
He's in where is he? He's in
straight.
Tassie now, and I told him I was going to do one, and he was fuming.
I think give a bit of background about the why you're saying. I said it to myself. He said, like, let's just give a little.
Oh, mate, how funny.
Go on, Dad.
That, like, the reason why I got Muppet of the match was because
This is against CBD last week.
CBD last week. You know, the referees.
the history with the ref.
Well, the history.
ref was it?
Doesn't like us.
We'll touch on it quickly.
You want to do it later on?
Sorry, carry on, Deck. Carry on.
We'll touch on it quickly. The referee, you know, we don't have the best history with the referee regarding suspensions and that. So I got suspended, whatever, blah blah blah.
15 months out.
Just the 12 months out. But yeah, so Ben said "fuck off"
To the ref.
To the ref,
Which you can't do, apparently.
which results in a sin bin, possible red card, blah blah blah. And the referee pulled him over, and he was like, "Sorry, ref, sorry. I said it to myself. I'm so frustrated. Please, referee, please." You know, and that's the reason why I got Muppet of the match.
And that's the reason why Jimmy's had to write a poem about him.
Yeah, join us in part 2 for more.